Ladies and gentlemen, and of course to the Podstarz family, welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the Podstarz Team podcast. And my guest today is a man whose voice acting career has spanned over 5 decades and has developed a reputation for sprinkling magic all over the scripts and projects that he's involved in. He's also is classically trained in opera. He's a singer, a teacher, and an actor. And as you can see, he is either a dead ringer or a very close descendant of jolly old Saint Nick himself. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest today, Mr. Richard Crossman.
Great to be with you, Jay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, long story short, for all the people who are out there, we first met each other via LinkedIn. I
Yep,
want to say in the 2022 year after the pandemic.
yep.
After we first hooked up on LinkedIn and we talked about the Podstars and how it's getting off the ground. You and I both attended the Toronto International Film Festival together, where Podstars
Yes.
was a sponsor. And unfortunately, we haven't had a chance to touch base or check in with each other since then. Busy lives and such like that. So how have you been? What have you been up to in the 2 years since we last talked? Almost 3 years, pretty much now. And how have you been? And what's new?
Oh, I've been doing a whole lot of things actually. Of course, I'm busy as Santa Claus. Last year, this year have just been tremendous. I've really enjoyed it. I'm still doing some virtual visits as I did in 20 and 21 during COVID. In fact, I did one yesterday. I've got one tomorrow. Yesterday's was in the UK. The one tomorrow is in Montreal. And I have a fabulous time meeting up with families that I have chatted with for the last 4 or 5 years, watching the kids grow. I've been doing a number of photographer studios, some I've worked with for many years, some new ones over the last couple of years, having people do their Christmas portraits and all of that stuff on the go. I've just finished, well, I'm just finishing the third of three audiobooks by the same author, Joseph Rodriguez. One is already up on Audible. The next one should be going up within the next week or so, and then the third one should be up in mid-January. So I've been having some fun with that. I've attended a couple of conferences this year. I was in Amsterdam last year for a voiceover conference, um, and just been having a ball. Really?
Oh, that's fantastic. And as a voice actor, I would assume that in the winter, you have to pretty much keep yourself sheltered and safe because you don't want anything affecting your moneymaker, right? I mean, the last thing you want to do is get COVID or the flu and be out of commission for, God knows how long. And some opportunities pass you by, and hopefully not as Santa, and especially this time of year, right?
Well, interesting you should mention that because 2 weeks ago I actually had 4 days of laryngitis
Yeah,
when I was
that's the big
supposed to
one.
be recording an audiobook, so I had to have it postponed for a couple of days. But the voice is back, everything's working fine, so I'm happy with that.
Okay, well, to see, and then good timing. You're all better now. You're back on the Santa train. You're making kids happy. You're
Yep.
on the podcast. So let's get into some good stuff. I read on your bio that you speak 4 different languages, and as a classically trained opera singer, I'm curious, how does that work? Are you singing in 4 different languages, and like, how does that work?
I'm actually trained to sing in 6 different languages.
Oh my.
English, of course, which is my first language, and then Latin, which is pretty much every classically trained singer learns that. And then there's German, French, and Italian on top of that, and a little bit of Russian sometimes if I have to.
Wow.
Although I'm not that great at it, but I can get by with it. So yeah, I sing in all those languages. I'm not what I would call a fluent speaker, but if I'm reading something, I can understand what's going on, and I can certainly use the correct accent and syntax so that if I'm doing a voiceover in Italian or in French or in German, I can make it sound like I know what I'm doing, which I do, and I can make it sound like I'm a native born um, speaking that language. So it's been a lot of fun. The opera has really helped out with the voiceover work over the last few years.
So when you're an opera singer, are we talking like like going to venues and like
Oh yeah.
plays and okay,
Yeah, I
so
did. I did a lot of work in Southern Ontario, Opera Hamilton, Opera York, a couple of other regional opera companies. I never got out of Canada. Never wanted to get out of Canada. It was just too much with the family I had at the time. But I did a lot of work and had a lot of fun and put a lot of training into it. And the opera training in terms of voice work has also been very beneficial to me in terms of my voice acting because I know how to look after my voice, and I can record for 3, 4, 5 hours straight without the voice tiring out because I know how to work it properly.
That's a big big investment. Is 4 5 hour 3 4 5 hours of just going. So yeah, good
Yep.
for you. And so the languages that you're speaking, are is this all self-taught? Did you take classes? Or are you just picking up a book and saying, I'm going to learn something new today and it's going?
I I learned French beginning in school, and then of course through classical opera training, you're taught to sing in French, Italian, and German because those are the three main languages of opera.
Oh, okay.
So I learned how to do that. I also worked in classical French kitchen for a while, and I worked in other kitchens where I've worked with people who spoke French, Italian, and German, and Serbian, and Croatian, and so many other languages, Polish and Ukrainian. And I picked up a lot of accents that I use, even if I can't speak the language. And then I have grandparents who were born in the UK, so I have proper British. I have what we call estuary or London, kind of a Cockney-ish accent, um, a general Irish, and a Highland Scottish. So if you go onto my website, you will actually see or hear an excerpt from one of the Harry Potter books in both Scottish accent and Scottish dialect. So I do speak a little bit of Scottish dialect.
Well, it's funny you brought up the Harry Potter because you've played over 200 characters on stage, film, and television, including Professor Dumbledore from Harry Potter. Which, excuse my ignorance, not a Harry Potter guy. I know they're super popular, and I know there's insane fans out there. So I'm not going to ask you any Harry Potter questions because I don't know any. But did you have any specific roles while you were acting? Not so much in Harry Potter, but anything else that really stood out to you in a special way?
Well, I never, unfortunately, never got to act in the Harry Potter movies. I applied, but I did not have a British passport. I wasn't a British citizen. I tried. My mother was not British, but my grandmother was. But unfortunately, because my mother never applied for hers, I couldn't apply for mine.
Oh.
And I tried because I wanted to be in one of those Harry Potter films so badly. But anyway, that's another story. I've actually played a lot of very interesting characters over the years. I'm mainly a character actor. I don't get a lot of lead roles. Um, I'm certainly not the love interest, and I'm certainly not the dashing hero, but I do have a lot of fun playing a lot of the roles I've had. And I've done everything from the nosy neighbor next door looking out the window to a motorcycle um, gang hitman or vampire hitman or a psychopath running around the woods chasing people with a pistol for 3 days before he shot them. All those kind of fun things to do. And then, in opera, I did actually get to play the lead in La Traviata in a couple of productions of that show. I played Alfredo, but I played in a lesser known opera by the name of Il Tobaro. I played a really cool character by the name of Tinka, who was actually the owner and worker on a barge in Italy. They transported material up and down the river on a barge.
Okay.
So that was kind of a fun character to play. And I played a lot of other things. And then when you get into some of the festivals and stuff I've done, I played Henry II, Henry VIII, Richard I, the Lionheart, um, the headmaster an extremely famous wizarding school. And we have to be careful with that because we can't advertise as that because of Rowling's copyright and Warner Brothers copyright and all
Oh,
that stuff.
gotcha.
So I'm the headmaster of a very famous wizarding school,
Gotcha.
and I played that dozens of times. But yeah, I played a lot of fun characters over the years, and I'm working on a bunch more. I'm working on a bunch of new accents. My Russian accent is almost there. My South African is in process. My Welsh accent, a general Welsh accent, is in process. So I've got more stuff coming.
So
And
just to skip back 1 second, because I heard you say the words vampire hunter, or sorry, vampire
Hitman,
hitman in the same sentence. So is that a vampire who's killing people, which
yep.
normally, or so it's not a vampire hunting a headhunter or something like.
No, no,
Explain to me how that works, because
it was a vampire enforcer.
Oh, okay. Okay. That makes total sense. All right.
Who took out quite a few people over the course of the movie. So yeah.
And he rides a motorcycle?
I don't ride a motorcycle, but I
Oh,
did get to play a motorcycle gang member who was a
oh,
hitman and
oh,
took out
okay.
a few people.
Gotcha.
So that was a lot of fun.
I'm just picturing a guy with, the milky white vampire riding at night, because obviously he can't drive during the day, riding around with a jacket on, just killing people. But
Yep.
must be another
And of
movie.
course, back in those days, the hair wasn't white and the beard wasn't white. They were different
Oh,
color,
gotcha.
slightly darker, but
Gotcha. Understand. Talk to me about being a voice acting magician, because you, sir, are the only person I've ever heard with those put together. So give me a little breakdown of what exactly that is.
well, my brand is voice acting magic, and we decided upon that one because of the variety of characters and accents that I have played and that I can bring to a project. I did a project in 2021, the summer 2021. It was a 90-second health and safety reminder. And one of the problems with a lot of the voice work I do is that they're done for companies and it's internal and proprietary, so I can't share it with anybody.
Oh,
So a lot of the stuff is gone and I will never ever see it again. But this was a health and safety reminder. And it was an animated thing, and there were three characters in it, and I was able to voice all three of the characters to save the company hiring three voice actors.
oh, okay. Well, that's good on them.
So if you want to go to a very proper British monarch or something like that, or a British broadcaster, you have, of course, British RP. And if you want to go to somewhere down south in the United States, we can take you down there pretty quick. Or if you want to go to Scotland and go to Ireland and look up a haggis hunt, you can find that without any problem at all. Or if you want to go to pastry chef and see these wonderful pastries that the French can make, they are too are just amazing and so delicious. Oh yes.
Nice. I like that. I've always been a huge fan of the Scottish Irish accent. I mean, sometimes when you really can't tell what they're saying until it gets broken down for you, and then if they get into like the old dialect where it's like words exist that, like, depending on where they're from, obviously, where they're
Yeah.
further out, So yeah, it's
Well, that's what I mean when I say I did part of a Harry Potter book in Scottish dialect.
yeah.
You know, what was the word? In the regular book, it talks about Dumbledore being tall and thin, and in the Scottish dialect, it's skinny malinky.
Oh, nice.
And he's not called Dumbledore; he's called Dumby Dykes.
Fair enough. For
So
copyright
there's
issues again.
all kinds of things like that. So
Gotcha.
it's a lot of fun.
Gotcha. Just a quick thing. So you said you've done Santa for numerous years now. I've
This
actually
is
had the pleasure of being Santa for the last 2 years now for the city of Toronto. I volunteered as Santa to do the Daily Bread Food Bank.
hmm
And so my question to you is, since you've done it so much longer, please express to the people who see us doing this how hard it truly is to do it for 4 or 5 hours sometimes. I noticed that after I was done, the bending down and getting up from the kids and the hugging and the pictures, I was extremely sore the day after. So it's not an easy gig, and you've kept it up for numerous years now.
well, this is actually my 40th anniversary as a professional Santa Claus. But we have photographs of me at the age of 9 dressed in a Santa Claus suit handing out presents. So I've been doing it for a very long time.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it is tough for a number of reasons, and it depends on what sort of venue you're working in. If you're working in a mall or a shopping center where it's photographs, 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 you don't get a chance to chat with the kids very much.
Right.
And it's mentally draining to keep them going, keep them going, keep them going. Um, I do a lot of corporate events, community events, and home visits and things like that, which require a different type of energy. The corporate events are similar to the shopping centers, except there's more activity going on. Um, I did a corporate event a couple of weeks ago where they have craft tables for the kids, and they have video games, and they have popcorn, and they have coloring centers and all kinds of things. So, in addition to greeting the kids and having pictures taken, I'm interacting with the kids in the various stations that they're working on,
Right.
whether it's, stealing their popcorn or, coloring with them or whatever it is. And very often when those sort of things happen, the kids will bring me something that they have made that day as a gift.
Right.
And that's a different type of energy than a community event where you're out talking to people and mingling with people and meeting people for 2, 3, 4 hours at a tree lighting ceremony. Um, I've got one coming up this weekend that is another community event. It's a 6 hour event. It's a toy drive, and also opportunity for families to come in and have pictures done, but it's not a shopping center cattle call. They can come in, I get to spend a minute or two or three with each of the families, or even 5 minutes if there's not a huge lineup. And I can talk to the kids and learn more a little bit about what they want for Christmas and all of that sort of thing. And we talk, and because it is such a large community event, there are different ethnicities there.
Right.
So we talk about the different holidays that they celebrate. I have to know something about a lot of those different holidays. Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and Diwali and the Feast of Saint Nicholas and um, uh, uh, that just went out of my head. Ukrainian Christmas, Eastern Orthodox, and so many others that happen during that time. So I have to know what's going on, or at least have a hint or an inkling. And then I talk to the kids about whether they celebrate Christmas as a cultural thing as opposed to a religious thing, and a lot of them do. But I also know one of the things I try and bring to all of my performances and appearances is it doesn't matter what religious holiday you're looking at, what religious holiday you celebrate. Most of them are all talking about bringing the light, being together, and being kind to one another and giving of ourselves. So whether it's Diwali, or whether it's Kwanzaa, or whether it's Christmas, or whether it's whatever, there are those basic tenets that pass from one to another to another to another. And I just try and have people be kind to one another, and where they can, be aware and be giving and be tolerant and be loving of each other at that time of year. That's what it's all about. Doesn't matter what religion you follow.
Right. 1,000%. It's great. I mean, at first I was a little hesitant to do it, but once I started to do it, I saw the reaction you're getting when you walk in a room and they light up.
Yep.
Um, so I'll tell you one little story that I have was was 2 weeks ago when I did it. So it was at a hockey arena. So I'm walking around and they're all skating and I'm waving outside the boards and they're coming off the ice and giving me hugs and whatever. So I'm doing a lot of bending down, standing up, bending down, picking up
Hmm.
kids, pictures. So I'm asking the kids what they want for Christmas, and one of the boys says, "I want a gun." And I was like, "I'm sorry, excuse me, a water gun?" And he's like, "No, I want a gun for hunting." And I said, I didn't know what to do. I mean, I'm trying to be funny and I'm trying to be serious at the same time. I didn't know. I was lost in space. So I just literally, well, Santa doesn't like to bring firearms for Christmas, little boy. And like the parents were like, did you just ask Santa for a gun for Christmas? And like everybody overheard, and that became a thing. So Santa just kind of escaped the scenario altogether because I didn't want to be a part of it.
Yeah. One of the things that I run into a lot is they want pets, or they want electronics, or they want cash.
Cash. I've never heard cash. That's
I,
awesome.
I get the odd one that requests cash. And in those cases, and I've never had anybody ask for a live firearm, so thank goodness for that. But with the others, with pets and with electronics, I always say that I have to talk to the parents to get permission,
Right.
because parents have the last say of what happens in the house.
Absolutely.
So if the parents say it's okay to have a cell phone or an iPad or a tablet or a computer or whatever, then fine. I'll work that out with the parents. I don't bring pets because they don't travel well in the sleigh and they're a huge responsibility. So we have to have parent permission for that. And that goes over well. The kids understand that, and the parents are usually in the background giving me two thumbs up, or, you know.
Yeah. Good answer. Yeah. Good way
And
to pivot.
I would do the same thing with a firearm.
Yeah.
We have to have parents' permission for that because it is a very dangerous piece of equipment. It's not a toy. And I don't, Santa doesn't deliver things that aren't toys.
Right.
So if you want a firearm, then you're going to have to chat with your parents and make
Which,
that decision with them.
if you want a
So,
firearm for Christmas,
well, I mean,
it's
it kind of comes from Christmas Story, right? With the BB gun,
mm.
But
So,
anyway,
how did you respond to the child that asked for cash? What do you?
I always say that I bring toys. And if you want cash, that's something you have to talk to parents and friends and family. If
Fair
you
enough.
want to, go on a shopping spree, then tell everybody else that you want cash for Christmas, but I will bring appropriate toys because
Makes
that's what
sense.
Santa Claus does.
I would have gone on the Santa didn't bring his debit card or credit card sort of scenario, but I like the way you went much better.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and the parents are there too to help you, hopefully help bail you out.
And they do sometimes, but in other times it's like, oh yeah, I never thought about saying that. Thank you.
Yeah, makes
And
total sense.
sometimes when the kids leave, you get the parents leaning down saying, "Thank you so much for that. We've been trying to kill."
Absolutely, absolutely.
But I'll tell you two very quick little stories. I was at an event on Saturday last week, and there was a little fella who was maybe 5 years old who was mildly Down syndrome. And he was dressed to the nines in a suit and a big red bow tie. And he took one look at me when his parents came in and he just made a beeline straight for me, jumped up in the chair and gave me a big hug and wouldn't let go.
Nice.
And then I have a wonderful lady I work with who is a lady of color. She's from the United States, but she's living here in Canada now. In fact, you may have run into her at some point. Simone Riding Cunningham.
Oh, she's a member
Uh,
of Podstarz. Yep.
yep, yep. She works with me occasionally as Mrs. Claus. And a couple of years ago at an event we were at, we had a family from the Sudan who had moved to Canada. And they had a little girl who was about 4 years old. And she saw Simone sitting there in the chair next to me, made a beeline for her, gave her a big hug, and in sort of a whisper, but a whisper loud enough that just about everybody could hear it, she said, "I'm so glad you look like me."
Oh, wow, that's cute.
Yeah. And of course, at that point, everybody's in tears.
Yeah. No,
So
that's awesome.
the kids are draining, but they also bring some tremendous energy to the job.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
And then the next day, your brain is fried and you need some downtime. And you get physically tired too because you're lifting kids.
Yep.
You're traveling around. If in my case, if it's a community event or an outdoor event, I'm walking around, meeting people, greeting people, and it does get tiring. And I came home. I did 4 events on Saturday. I drove 450 kilometers in total,
Oh,
from
wow.
Brantford to London to Burlington to Oakville, and then back home. And then I had another event on Sunday in Brantford. And Sunday afternoon, when I got home, I just took off the suit and sat and
Decompress.
vegetated for the rest of the night.
Fair enough.
And
Yeah.
a friend of mine is staying with me right now over Christmas, so she brought me dinner. I didn't even have to get up and cook dinner, and it was just a great night. But you do need the downtime because it is physically and mentally draining.
Oh, absolutely. Like I only did it for 4 hours and I wasn't even driving. Thank God I was only 15 minutes away. So I
Yeah,
can imagine what it's like for you to drive 450 clicks to 6 different cities in a matter of one afternoon. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
good
It
for
was
you
it was a
though.
long day. It was a 12-hour day, and I had everything from the youngest was a 5-week-old baby to adults in a bar
Oh, there you go.
to senior citizens. And about, a month ago, would have been a month ago Saturday, actually, I had a lady, I was at a craft event, artisan craft sale. And I had a lady who's 104 years old who walked up to me and sat down on my knee and said, "I'm 104 years old, and this is the first picture I've ever had taken with Santa."
104 and she's never had it
104.
before. Wow.
And she had a walking stick, but she was quite spry.
Wow. She's probably
So,
much better than I am. I felt like I was
well,
104 after being Santa.
yeah, exactly. But it is so enervating, it is so energizing at the same time as being draining. It's almost like you've got two tanks, one's propane and one's gas sort of thing. But it really is amazing. And I come home on a high, and yet at the same time, I'm physically and mentally exhausted. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's funny. So, do you drive with the suit on, by the way? Because I know I did.
It depends on the situation, but usually yes. And I get a lot of cars that pull up beside me and do the double take and
Yeah.
Santa.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was going with that. Because I did it with the beard because, like I said, I was only 15 minutes away. So I
Yeah,
knew I was going to have to walk into the venue from my car. So I
yeah,
didn't want to be adjusting. So I drove with the beard. and I'm having cars who are like they're like veering because they're staring at me so hard because
Yep.
look at Santa driving and the kids are going bananas and dogs and
Yep.
so yeah, it's crazy.
We went to see the movie Red One when it first came out.
Oh, you're the only one who saw that.
Well, it's a brilliant movie. It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. And there's a couple of very interesting little things that they picked up on that almost nobody else has in that film, which I was
Okay.
really appreciative of. And they had a really interesting take on how Santa Claus gets down the chimney. I won't spoil it.
Okay.
Um, but the one thing that I really appreciated about that movie was when Santa hops in the sleigh and he's getting ready to go, he hollers out to the reindeer and says, "Let's go, girls."
Oh, really?
Yes, because the reindeer with antlers are female.
Oh, yeah, that makes
Males
sense.
drop
Yeah, yeah.
their antlers in November.
Gotcha. Okay. So they did their
And most
homework.
people don't realize that, but they
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because no, well, I guess like no one really asks how old the reindeers were, but you see them and they look fully grown. So
Hmm.
yeah, it would make sense. But like even the names, I mean, I guess they're kind of they can go either way.
Yeah, they can. They
But
can. And unfortunately, Johnny was it John? No, not Johnny Marks. Who was it? The guy who wrote Rudolph.
you got me.
I can't remember. But anyway, and then Gene Autry sang it. It wasn't Schwartz. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Um, he screwed up one of the reindeer names too. It's not Donner, it's Donder.
John Durr. Okay.
Donder is the original name, but because of the song, everybody sings Donner, and then the Rudolph um, stop motion just nailed it for everybody, and now they call him. Then now they call that reindeer Donner instead of Donder, but it actually is. And then, of course, because it was the 1960s, they also screwed it up and had Donner as Rudolph's father.
Oh, yeah. I've never heard that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's the way they portray it in the Rudolph claymation, whatever it is, with Burl Ives, and that's a bit of a screw up. And then, of course, Coca-Cola doing their marketing campaign, putting me in red for the rest of my life. Up until then, Santa wore all sorts of colors in various places all over the world, and he still does in other countries. But in North America, I'm one of the very few that will change outfits. And I have outfits from the UK and from Western Europe and from Russia. So I have blue, I have green, and I have the robes that the Father Christmas wears in the UK. I have 9 different suits actually.
I've seen Santa on the robe a couple times. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I remember. Yeah,
But usually when you see him in robes, he's in red.
yeah, all the time.
Yeah, but I don't do that. I have red suits, but I also have green suits and the blue robes for Died Moroz from Russia, and I have the green with the red for Father Christmas, and I have green with kind of a sort of a brownish burgundy as well for the UK. So I wear a bunch of different ones, and I work at the Markham Home for the Holidays Country Christmas Decorating Show, the middle weekend of November. And over the course of the time I'm there, it's between 8 and 12 hours a day. I change into different outfits about every 2 hours
Oh, that's cool.
so that people get to see the different outfits that Santa Claus wears.
Oh, that's cool.
And
Yeah.
then this year I created a fun one in sparkly purple just because I could.
All right. Odd. Santa's down for a little disco party.
Yeah,
Nice.
exactly.
Nice.
And
Love it.
with sparkly purple shoes to match.
There you go. There you go. So here's a question that I'm sure you've never been asked before, and hopefully we'll get it on video here. How many different ways can you say Merry Christmas in all the languages that you know? Can you hit them all?
No, because there's just too many languages.
Oh, okay.
There are over 200 languages in the world.
Okay.
So, and that doesn't count dialects. That's just straight up languages. Um, I will give you Feliz Navidad from Spain and from Spanish speaking countries, Mexico and other places like that. Um, um, Joyeux Noël from France. Freudige, tongue tied here. Freudige Weihnachten from Germany.
Ooh.
Happy Christmas from the UK. And there's another one which is escaping me at the moment, and I can't remember what it is. Anyway, I have about a half a dozen that I can work with very, very fluently. I'm still working on my Ukrainian. I haven't got that to the point where I'm happy to use it yet.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
That's on my list. And I've got a couple of others I'm working on, but I haven't had the time to put them together for this year. So that's on my list for next year.
So
But I try and learn at least one a year so that I can add to my list of things. And when I hear various accents and so on, I can respond with Feliz Navidad or Joyeux Noël or whatever it happens to be. So,
and can we get a ho 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 Merry Christmas in the Scottish Irish dialect?
oh, I can give you that. Ho, 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 ho. I wish you all a happy Christmas.
There it is. There it is. So I noticed you say Happy Christmas. Do they not say Merry Christmas over there?
Happy Christmas was the original. If you see Christmas cards from the Victorian era and earlier, well, Victorian era was Christmas cards, but letters from before the Victorian era, you will see Happy Christmas. And in the original version of The Night Before Christmas, The Visit from St. Nicholas by Clark Clement Moore, it is Happy Christmas. But in the more modern ones, because of the North American influence, it's becoming Merry Christmas.
Gotcha. Makes sense. I have seen Happy Christmas on many a Christmas card.
Yep.
I just thought it was just one of those marketing things, or change
No,
up.
it actually
But
came out of the UK.
see, you
And
learn new
that's
every day.
basically what Joyeux Noël is too. In French, it's basically Happy Christmas or
Gotcha.
Joyful Christmas.
Gotcha. So Santa, I mean, I know you're incredibly busy. So am I. Podstarz is getting off the ground. It's getting the steam is rolling for the Podstarz thing. I know you're very busy this time of year. If you'd like to book Mr. Richard Crossman as Santa, hopefully before Christmas, his schedule is pretty backed up, so you want to do it now. Or if you want to book him as a voice actor after Christmas, you can head to the Podstarz website, book him accordingly. He is a part of our professional category, I believe. Before you go, sir, quickly, what do you have going on that maybe you'd like to promote? And where can people talk to you, find you, get in touch with you on social media?
Well, my websites are santadundas.ca, Dundas as in Dundas Street in Toronto. And then my voice acting website is simply voiceactingmagic.com. You can hear all kinds of samples there. I am on Instagram as Richard Crossman VO. I'm on YouTube as Richard Crossman VO. I'm on Facebook, both as Santa and Richard Crossman, and I'm also on Instagram as Santa, Santa Dundas. So there's all kinds of places you can find me. And if you're thinking of booking me, you better get on it because I'm already booking into 2026.
There it is. There it is. Fair enough. He's a busy man. He's got a lot of talent. One quick question before you go. I actually interviewed a voice actor last week. Her name is Jody Kringle. I'm not sure
I
if
know
you.
Jody very well. She's a
Oh,
dear
okay.
friend.
I was gonna ask you that. So
Yeah.
we are actually attending the Podfest conference in Orlando
Yes.
together. So yeah, I'll put in a good word for you. I'll
Jody
talk your name.
Jody has a wonderful podcast on audio branding.
Yes, yes, we've talked about it. She's very, very popular. She's doing a
Yep.
great job, and her voice, as my partner at Podstarz has expressed to me, is smooth.
Yes.
He loves the smoothness of her voice, and we met her 2 years ago, and that really left an impression on him. So even when we met up with her last week at a a Podfest meetup, the first
Yep.
thing he said was, "Your voice is so smooth," and it's never left him. So
Jody actually won a Society of Voice Arts award last week for her podcast.
yes, I saw that on Instagram.
Yep.
Yeah. No, she's a
Yeah.
great lady, and I'm looking forward to having a good time with her in Orlando.
Yeah. She will be a lot of fun. And get her to sing for you.
Good tip, because if her voice is smooth as she's talking, singing should be
She's
a
a
knockout.
wonderful singer. She's a wonderful singer.
We'll see if we can get some karaoke after the
Yeah,
event's over. Maybe go to a bar, have a pint, and do some karaoke. And
definitely.
I'll tell her that you recommended, so that if it all comes back, like it's
Yeah,
not on
and
me,
get me in
it's on
trouble.
you.
Sure, go ahead.
Exactly. I'd rather
Now
you than
you're
me.
on the naughty list. Now you're on the
Oh,
naughty list, Jay.
it's been a tough year. All right, sir. Thank you so much for joining the Podstarz podcast. I wish you all the best to you and yours, and all the best for 2025. And we will talk very shortly, sir.
I appreciate that, and I would like to wish everyone a wonderful Christmas. May the light be with you, and may you share your joy with everybody else.
Thank you, sir. What a great message. Merry Christmas, everybody. From
Merry
Podstarz.
Christmas. Happy Christmas. Freudige Weihnachten.